Welcome back to the Midwest Minute. I'm your host, Ross Thompson, and today we got a little impromptu video. We're going to be discussing my thoughts and reviews on the State of the Union last night, the longest one in history, as a matter of fact. As a brief overview, I really enjoyed it. It was classic Trump. He really stuck to his script good. You could tell that because he didn't go off on too many um, tangents. And you can definitely tell when Trump does. You can just tell if you ever watched Trump's speech, and I think he stuck to the script good, which was a very well written script by the script writers, and he had some discipline there, just sticking to the goal. Early on, he highlighted some of the high points of the last year his administration had accomplished, which I thought was a really good tone setter, and then basically, a majority of the speech then was highlighting specific individuals and tying them into some policy changes he asked for Congress to do and would like to see in the future. I watched the speech on Fox, and I really wasn't impressed when he would announce, one of his guests, and they'd pan up to the top box and they'd show the individual, but they really wouldn't show what Congress was doing, whether they were standing, clapping, sitting, um, what have you, which I think is kind of important for the American people to see how some of these reactions we can get out of the right or the left. I think that is really what the State of the Union has become. Clearly last night, clearly last year, even in Joe Biden's presidency, that basically what the State of the Union is to talk about your own self and see what you can get the other side to stand or sit on, and then can judge them based off that. And I think Trump did a particularly really good job at that last night because he laid out a lot of common sense propositions, a lot of nice 80-20 issues that the Democrats didn't even stand up for. The main one that really stuck out to me was when he said, stand up if you think we should, put American citizens first, or American citizens are number one priority. And not many Democrats stood up, and that's just crazy to me. That really is really telling, and you can make the case, coming from their sides, like, yeah, all people are people, and the ways. I saw someone said that, I didn't stand up because I don't believe that. I didn't stand up because I don't like the ways that's being carried out. And I'm like, well, that's you can be mad at that, but if you can't stand up to say that American citizens should be first in America, it's pretty telling. And everyone's gonna have their own opinion, right? Like, being a conservative, like, I'm gonna go in there, I'm conservative values, and I already have a preceding notion that, yeah, I'm gonna like the things he's gonna say. And same thing if you're on the left or a Democrat, you're gonna be like, okay, it's Trump. I'm not going to like the things he's going to say just because, and we have the tendency to stick to our sides of the party. And uh, that was really on full display last night. And I really don't like it because, it's just some of these basic values of America we can't get half the aisle to stand for. And not only stand for, they had like 70 congressmen that didn't even show up. And it's like, okay, we're paying your salaries. Some, I mean, I didn't, but people voted you to represent them, you know, in DC. It's like, do your due diligence and just go. Like, it's a speech. And, I think not going because you don't like the government or the president is very selfish, very low hanging fruit. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, just sit there. It was long, don't get me wrong, but it's only one time a year, and it's just not a great look. And I'd say that for both sides. If a Democrat was in there and Republicans didn't show up, it's like, just go. And and listen, and then you can really make an informed decision. And where I watched it last night, we had, the Fox on one TV, and then we had the People's State of the Union on the top, and it's like, holy smokes, that's why you skipped it to run your little stint there. And it's like, oof, 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 oof. Some notable times, Democrats didn't stand up was Erica Kirk, when they announced her and the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk. You know, you could say that, yeah, he wasn't a really big fan of Democrats, obviously, but it was a horrific assassination, which was a political one at that, and it's just not a great look when you can have half the House um, not accept that fact, or not even give a little bit of grief towards the widow. But they did all stand up when Trump said to stop political violence, and they all stood up for banning insider trading. And it's classic Trump there. It's talked about insider trading, and of course he had to make a jab at Nancy Pelosi. And if you can make a jab at her, you're always gonna do that. So that's just classic Trump, and that's why like these speeches are like gonna go down in the history books, because there's not going to be anybody like him for a long time that I feel like we're going to see in there, that has his show for camera and just going off script. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. If he keeps going off script, it's not really good. But I think he did a pretty healthy amount of that last night. They announced Irina Zarutska's mother, and they didn't stand for that. Who Irina was the lady that was on the bus last year that got stabbed in the back by a career criminal. And it really comes down to, when you're looking at the State of the Union, it's you can, as the president, given the speech, you can say how good your administration did. Really, all you want. You can go up there and you said, record gas prices, benefits for the home buyer, medical bills coming down, taking people off food stamps, what have you. And it's like, you can say all that stuff, but if the American people can't feel it or see it, it really doesn't matter. You're kind of just blowing smoke, because if you live in a state that still has high gas prices, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to. You're not. I mean, you can believe that. Yeah, it's low. It's low here where I'm at, but I'm saying if you live in a different place, but it doesn't matter to me if it's low in another place. Like, I want it low where I live, right? So I feel like a lot of Americans think like that, or should think like that. But at the same time, it's not only Trump. Trump can only do so much. The federal government can only do so much, and you need to look at whether it's, if you live in a Democratic or Republican state, you should look at state leadership too, in a sense. And does that have correlation to high prices or high regulations or high home prices? You have to look at not only federal law, but you have to look at state law and compare and see, okay, is it really Trump's that's doing all this, or is it state, or my governor that's kind of limiting these factors that have been making um, my own state more affordable or unaffordable. And I think early on, I wanted to highlight this because I thought it was really funny. And it kind of really goes to what the Democratic Party has fallen into, this trap um, of victimhood. It's early on, Al Green, um, congressman, um, got escorted out when he held a sign that said "Black people aren't apes." And for those of you who don't know really what this was referencing, a couple months ago, or maybe even a month ago, Trump posted a video on X or Truth Social, and then at the end of the video, it just quickly clip to this little blurb that had Barack and Michelle Obama as apes. And on the forefront, yeah, it really did look kind of bad. It was a mistake that shouldn't have been in there. That last blurb of Michelle and Barack should not have been in there. And obviously, black people aren't apes. That's kind of a vile depiction. But you also have to look at the context, right? I saw that. I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. Like, what was that? Later on in the day, videos came out of what the actual video was, and yeah, it started off as Barack and Michelle Obama as these apes in an AI video, just not like. And when you say that, you have to look it up yourself because it's not like it's that bad. It's just their face over a cartoonish ape. And then it also has more black and white people in this video in the jungle, and it's um, in the jungle, the lion sleeps tonight song, I think it was, and it has Trump as the lion and uh, all these other Democratic people as all the animals in the jungle. And it's like, okay, when you look at it in a broader picture, it's like, yeah, sure, it doesn't really look good, but at the same time, you're just really trying to make something out of nothing. That it feels like you're trying to really make a stand on twigs where it's you don't really have a firm foundation. And if you're having to make a sign about that at the State of the Union a month later, it's like, okay, do we have bigger problems? And it's like we have Republicans in office right now trying to save our country, trying to um, fix our economy, and and then you contrast that with Democrats being mad about some AI video online. It's like, okay, what really is the serious party here? Who's serious? And yeah, Trump posts a lot of dumb stuff, silly stuff online, but you have to be able to sometimes look past that and really look at what he's doing foundationally, and policy wise. And it's hard to get stuff done, especially um, with the Democrats' pushback right now. No excuses though; they need to get more done. And when you look at the future, the midterms are right around the corner, and that's going to make a really big challenge in things because if they don't get much done here in the next couple of months, they're not going to get it done maybe for the rest of the term, his presidency, because come July, August, these senators and um, these congressional officials, they're going to have to start campaigning for reelection. Otherwise, we're going to really lose both the House and the Senate, which is a very good possibility right now. It's very hard for the incumbent to save seats. Historically, that has not really been the case. So if we do that, then we're going to have a split house or a split house in Congress, or maybe lose both. And at that point, we're really at a stalemate where we could see impeachment articles coming forth, or really not much legislation being passed that is fiscally conservative or really have anything that Trump wants. So we really realistically have 3-4 months here to put the hammer in to see what happens. Or our other option is winning the midterms, which would take serious voter turnout and serious poll turnaround, which the polls aren't everything, but with ICE and stuff, the favorability isn't really there right now, whether you like it or not. That's just the truth. Um, but yeah, no, I really did like the speech. It was a lot of common sense. Um, well, to me, it is at least, obviously, to the other side, or maybe not to you. A lot of common sense policy and just really good um, gloating about the administration, which really that's what it is. I don't really have too much fact checking materials in front of me. That's really not what this review is about. But these are just some of my thoughts and how I went about watching it. Yeah, I really like it. Really tells a person what type of um, guests I bring on. He brought on a lot of you know uh, war vets, which is really really good to see get the recognition they deserve, and it makes the American spirits seem better. And they also brought along the American Gold Olympic hockey team, which was really good. Standing ovation from both sides, so that's good. And another thing I want to talk on is everyone's excited. Oh, the Democrats stood for the U.S. hockey team, and it's like that is such a low bar to stand for. If you really can't stand for an American hockey team winning gold, versus our neighbors at their sport, it's like, I'm not gonna be happy they stood, because you should stand, right? Like it's the most basic thing you can stand for, American pride, and it really is kind of unity in a sense, but it's like it's just, yeah, you should do that. Like some of the other things I can see why they didn't, but like if you don't stand for that, it's like what are we doing here? But that's besides the point. That was just a fun thing he did. Trump did. That was nice. He announced the women are coming to the White House later, also. So all the people that are trying to make comparisons between the men and the women, there you have that. But yeah, no, I watched the whole thing. I'm gonna be watching a lot of analysis today about it from various sources to see what they had to say and some of the fact check and what they think. But these are just some of my thoughts right off the gate about the State of the Union. Oh yeah, I forgot really to mention this too, which sucks is at the end because nobody watches till the end of my videos. But one thing Trump really didn't do too much, which I thought was, it is what it is, but he really didn't look to the future too much. From what I remember, there wasn't really too much future optimism. He said a lot about the past, a lot about comparison of the Joe Biden administration to his, what life was like under Joe Biden, which is very important. It's easy to forget that administration, so it's good to get them reminders, but at the same time, we don't always want to live in the past, right? We want to live in the future. So I thought he could have done a little bit more of that, a little bit more walking the American people through his plans as, okay, just stick with me through this period, and this is what's on the other side of the road. But obviously he didn't do that, and that's his purview. It's obviously he's the president, but still a good speech overall. Engaging, some laughs. Um, yeah, that's my thoughts. Comment, like, text me, email me your thoughts if you had the same thoughts. Like, subscribe, do all that jazz if you want. Um, yeah, those are my initial thoughts on the State of the Union. Thank you. Stay curious.